Okay, let's unpack this. We're
Oh,
doing a deep dive today into a type of exhaustion that, well, it doesn't really make the headlines. It's not the big dramatic chaos that drains you. It's the quiet stuff. That feeling that you are just perpetually on 10% battery and you can't figure out where the energy is going.
that's so right. You look at your calendar, and there's nothing obviously huge on there, yet you feel completely hollowed out.
Right.
So our mission today is really specific. We're analyzing source material that focuses on what it calls micro leaks.
Micro
Yeah.
leaks.
These aren't big failures. They're the small, constant emotional drains that just build up until you realize, I don't really have a life. I just have a very long list of responsibilities.
So the goal here is to stop the bleed. We want to find some immediate, really specific micro shifts you can use to seal up these energy drains.
And to really get the problem, we have to look at the wiring. These micro leaks are tiny, almost automatic moments where your nervous system just defaults to a program.
Or prog.
A program that says, be good, be easy, be helpful. And because these things get lumped under, niceness, we miss that they're actually training us for chronic depletion.
So that's the setup. That conditioning feels almost like a moral obligation, but it's just not sustainable. You're giving away energy you don't even have.
Exactly. We need to dissect these behaviors that look kind
Mhm.
or look helpful, but are actually just burning through your internal resources.
Okay, so let's get specific then. What do these micro leaks actually look like day to day? The sources are pretty clear on this.
Yeah, they are. And they're not really choices, they're reactions.
Right.
A microleak is replying immediately to a text because you feel this massive spike of guilt if you let it sit there.
Oh, that's a big one. Or checking your work email at 9 p.m. when you specifically told yourself, I am resting now.
Yes. Or that instinct to smooth over tension in a room. Tension you absolutely did not create.
And maybe that tension even needed to be there for a minute.
Exactly. And maybe the most damaging one is doing things you never really agreed to, just because the idea of someone being disappointed in you it's just intolerable.
That fear of disappointing people is such a powerful driver. It's the buildup of all those tiny compromises. And then you wonder why you feel so depleted, even on a day off.
Right. You're bleeding energy in ways you were trained to call nice. And that accumulation is the real problem. So let's tackle 5 of the biggest leaks, starting with one that is just everywhere. Constant availability.
Leak number 1, unlimited access. The source material says that for so many exhausted people, the main problem is a failure of boundaries around access. You're just always on.
And this isn't just mental, it's physical.
Hmm.
Your body doesn't really know the difference between a real threat and your phone pinging.
Mm.
It treats every single notification like a little emergency. So you're basically living in a low-grade state of fight or flight all day long. Your nervous system never, ever gets to settle down.
So it never gets the message that the threat is over, you can power down, it never gets to land. That just sounds exhausting to even think about.
It is.
So what's the microshift? What's the tiny intervention here?
Microshift number 1 is deceptively simple. Today, just pick a specific 30-minute window where you are completely unavailable.
Meaning?
Devices off.
Hmm.
Or silenced and in a drawer. You are not reachable. And the sources emphasize this is not a punishment, it's protection.
Okay, but what about the guilt? Because I know as soon as you turn that phone off, that little voice starts screaming about who you might be inconveniencing.
And the source has a beautiful phrase for that. It's just your training talking.
Your training talking, I like that.
You notice the guilt, but you don't obey it. You see it for what it is, a conditioned response,
Yeah.
not a real emergency. The body has to learn that being unavailable is not a catastrophe.
That's a great reframe. Okay, so if access is about external boundaries, leak number 2 seems to be more about an internal failure, emotional labor and mood management.
Precisely. This is that instinct. You walk into a room, a meeting, a family dinner, and your first thought is, how do I make everyone else comfortable?
Which is something we're often praised for, right? Being thoughtful. But the source material says this isn't kindness, it's conditioning.
It's absolutely conditioning.
Yep.
The person who does this became the thermostat for their family or their group. They learned very early on that managing the mood kept them safe.
So they became a professional mood stabilizer.
Yes. But what happens if I stop doing that? Am I just being rude by letting tension hang in the air? Where's the line between being a supportive person and being this thermostat?
That's the key question.
And the answer is that support is a response. This mood management is a preemptive performance. The microshift is all about interrupting that reflex.
So that's microshift number 2, the pause. How does it work?
The second you feel that urge to fix the vibe, to jump in and smooth things over, you pause. And you ask yourself one critical question. Did someone ask me to help, or am I just volunteering to calm my own anxiety?
Oof, that's a direct hit.
And then the follow-up is this. Do nothing. For 10 seconds. Just let the room be human without you performing peace. That 10-second delay is a circuit breaker. It lets you choose your response instead of just reacting.
That makes so much sense. Okay, let's go a little deeper. Leak number 3. Invisible contracts. This sounds like the engine behind so much of this behavior.
It's the fuel for the burnout, absolutely. The problem with an invisible contract is that you're doing all this giving and helping in the hope that it will earn you something.
Like love or appreciation or safety.
Exactly. The giving isn't pure, it's transactional, even if you don't realize it. It's like you're keeping a secret emotional invoice.
And then resentment builds up when the other person doesn't pay the invoice.
Right. And you feel petty, but the source material says the pain is real. You're frustrated because you have been paying for a contract that nobody else signed.
Wow. Paying for a contract nobody signed, that perfectly explains that feeling of deep, isolating disappointment.
Think about it. You clean the office kitchen every single day, hoping it'll get you noticed for a promotion, but no one even sees you do it. You're putting in all this work based on an agreement that only exists in your own head.
Okay, that clarifies the pain point completely.
Right.
So how do we break this contract? What's microshift number 3?
It's the self-trust exercise.
Yeah.
It starts with just being honest. You literally write down the equation. I keep doing because I hope they'll kill it.
You name the currency you're spending and the payment you're expecting.
Right. And once that's on paper, you move toward self-trust. You ask, what would it look like to give myself that? If you're hoping for appreciation, what would it look like to genuinely appreciate your own efforts, whether anyone else does or not?
That's a real power shift. You're moving the source of the reward from external to internal. The whole equation changes. You don't need them to fulfill the contract anymore.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about leak number 4. This is a huge one for empathetic people. Empathy turning into absorption.
Oh, this distinction is so vital.
Mm-mm.
Empathy is, I care about what you're going through.
Right.
Absorption is, now I'm responsible for fixing it, and I have to take on your pain. A people pleaser doesn't just feel the mood. They immediately start working on the problem.
So you're basically carrying the emotional weight for 2 people. That's incredibly draining. How do we build a guardrail against that?
Microshift number 4 is an internal one. When someone is upset, you listen, you support, but inside your own head, you silently repeat a simple boundary line. Not mine to carry.
Not mine to carry. That's a powerful little mantra.
It is. It reinforces the idea that you can be compassionate without sacrificing yourself. You can hold space for their pain, but you don't have to carry the load. It creates this immediate energetic distance.
We all need that on repeat. Okay, last one. Leak number 5, which is interesting because it's about self-sabotage.
Right.
Negotiating your own no.
This one is so frustrating. It's when you actually succeed in setting a boundary. You say no to the request, but then you immediately start talking yourself out of it. You can't stand the discomfort of their disappointment or your own guilt.
So you become your own worst negotiator. You set the boundary, and then you just dismantle it for free. What does that internal monologue sound like?
Oh, well, it's not that big of a deal, or they look so sad, or I could probably just squeeze it in if I stay up an hour later. You exhaust yourself fighting for a boundary and then giving it up anyway.
So what's the intervention? How do you resist that internal negotiation?
The key is to say less. The source suggests a simple, firm line. I'm not able to. And then, this is the crucial part, you stop talking.
Because the explanation is the trap.
The explanation is the trap. It's what people and your own inner critic will latch onto to argue with.
So microshift number 5 is just about delivery and restraint, tolerating that silence.
Yes. Practice delivering one clean sentence today, I'm not able to, with no apology and no negotiation attached. The moment you offer an excuse, you've opened the floor for debate.
The discomfort is temporary, but the energy you save is permanent. And that brings us full circle. We've put words to this exhaustion by identifying these 5 leaks: access, emotional labor, invisible contracts, absorption, and self-negotiation.
And that's really the synthesis here. The whole point of this deep dive was to stop the bleed. And the first step is just recognizing where you're leaking the most energy. Is it with texts? Is it with family? At work?
You can't patch the leak if you don't know where it is. It gives you awareness where before there was just this vague, overwhelming dread.
And as we close out, there's one final thought from this material that I think is so important.
Yeah.
We've talked about how this is all conditioning designed to keep you safe. Managing the mood probably protected you from conflict in the past.
Right.
But if performing peace is what's exhausting you now, it means that old strategy isn't working anymore. It's no longer keeping you safe. It's just draining you.
Which leads to the real question, doesn't it? What's required to build a structure of genuine safety that does not rely on your continuous performance for others? Take some time to explore what real safety feels like in your own body without anyone else's input. What protects you when you're just being you? That's the next deep dive.